We're back, people, and today we're taking a look at the Raiders defense, preview this for the Dolphins game, and they've been very successful over the past 2 weeks. Ever since they made their coaching change, they did face two of the worst offenses in the league, so this will be a different challenge for them going against the Dolphins, and I do think they have to kind of change up their game plan for this week because they played a lot of single high in this game, especially versus the Jets, just going over the film, cover 3, cover 1 type of stuff. And the Dolphins are notoriously very good in the passing game, shredding single high defenses. So I think you're going to see some more split field looks. And if I had to guess what the Dolphins are going to do, I think it's going to be similar to the Giants game plan where they came in out, run the ball, get the ball out quickly, jet sweeps, screens, throw the ball outside the numbers, and just move the ball down the field by dinking and dunking. And I could see that same game plan because there were some similarities, I think, to that film because the Giants were more of a single high. They played a lot of two high against the Dolphins. Had some success in certain moments, but I do think the Dolphins will be fine if they can find success running the ball. I think that's where McDaniel's going to go with it. Raiders defense, very aggressive across the board. Their DBs, even if they're not blitzing, are going to shoot downhill a lot. Their guys up front are also very aggressive, shooting gaps, which I think will lead to, usually that leads to either big negative plays for the offense, getting over aggressive, or they get, a little too over aggressive and they hit a seam. Dolphins should have some success running the ball if they go too high. The Raiders' run defense is not very good. They had to stop the ball. They were able to play single high so much, have an extra number in the box, stop the Jets, because the Jets just are a very bad offense, and they couldn't really get anything going. But you can see the success they could have. They'll show some split safety field look here on this third down. And look at Garrett Wilson at the bottom of the screen, just cooks his corner. I know they're having some corner injuries right now too, and you can just see... there will definitely be some opportunities for the Dolphins wide receiver. That's a great route from Garrett. Picks up that first down. Ball comes out a little bit late from Zach. Definitely could have been much, much earlier. And I think the Dolphins can definitely find some success running the ball and throwing the ball if the Raiders don't change their game plan too much. This play, I think, is a good one to see for the Dolphins. Play action, get your clean pocket, have a clear out route with a deep crosser over the middle. Raiders come out in cover 6. They're playing cover 2 to the bottom here. Quarters to the top. They'll see this probably throughout the game. They've seen it, a decent amount this season. They'll also face a lot of cover 2. That's how you really want to stop the Dolphins, is cover 2. And I think McDaniel, after a bye, is going to come out running the ball, especially with Achane back. He's going to, I think, really try to commit to that. He's definitely still going to pass the ball because that's what the Dolphins do. But you can see the effect play action has, and I think there will be, because they get downhill, they get aggressive. And while I do think, they have some good linebacker play, there is going to be some room to work with over the middle of the field in this passing game. Good job by the Jets here executing, and I think the Dolphins they weren't able to do it too much in this game after this play, but I think the Dolphins can be a lot more consistent in that area of the field. I think another reason I expect the Dolphins to run the ball and get the ball out quickly, jet sweeps, screens, things like that, is Max Crosby. He's the game wrecker. You don't want him to win this game for the Raiders defense. He's really the one to do it. I mean, Jets get intentional grounding here. They throw this out, look like they're going to, throw this bubble out here to this side off the orbit motion. Max Crosby just wimps his reps so quickly, and I think the Dolphins want to avoid this. Running the ball, they're also very aggressive. He will fly uphill. I could see them taking advantage of this because if they see a pass set, if he sees a pass set here, he expects it to be a passing play. He's going to fly past them. That's why I think you can have even some success running the ball at him. He'll either make like a huge stop or kind of take himself out of the play. So outside zone is something I've seen them struggle with. Big plays. I could think you could see some nice work in this game for Achane and Mostert. Another third down, and I think, on these third downs in mediums, shorts, this is 3rd and 4, you'll see the Raiders still stay out in like some single high looks. They did versus the Jets. They were not afraid of the defense. They play some man match here, and it's just very interesting how they do this stuff. I just don't know if they're going to be able to do this against the Dolphins at a consistent level. They'll still try it because it's definitely a part of their identity. They're not just going to completely cut it away. But as you can see, they're playing man across the board. 21's man-to-man on Garrett Wilson here unless he just goes straight across on a drag. So then the safety becomes man-to-man, and then he drops to become like the robber over the middle. And with this bunch, could see something come out in bunch, and he gets that natural leverage advantage, pick play on the wheel route. And Zach actually makes a very good decision, good throw to the back shoulder of Gibson here. Didn't need to put it on the upfield. And they're able to, execute. I think the Dolphins are kind of praying this is the looks that they're getting. Even if the Raiders end up being successful, this is the stuff that they want to see because that's kind of where they're able to thrive against as a passing offense. Jets do get called for holding on this play, but it's, fake counter stuff, end around. Dolphins run this exact concept, there's room to work with for sure, even without the holding call. You can see they will fly upfield and get aggressive, even with their DBs. They shoot gaps, like they see things happen. They're blitzing, they'll get upfield, and this type of play can either be really effective against that or really poor, because either they'll shoot straight in the backfield and they get there right at the time you pitch the ball. It could be a huge negative, but it also can help create all this space out in the open field, and the Dolphins have been very successful at that, and it's something they've been very successful with, specifically with Devon Achane. Raiders were getting very aggressive. This is a single high. They end up getting a holding call here. The Jets hold on this specific play, and even if the holding call didn't happen, I think you still could see a pretty successful outside zone run here. This is the type of thing that's going to happen, I think, in this game. They come downhill like this, I think the Dolphins could really take advantage attacking the middle of the field in the passing game, but also even have still some successful runs. They all fire downhill. They're such an aggressive defense. They get up, everyone, they kind of, shoot upfield, one gap style, aggressive style of defense with their new coach, and there's still lanes. This guy gets to hold right here, but even if he doesn't hook him, he just it gets a little bit of hands on him, there's still probably get through to that running lane. Unfortunately, 21 gets right there. I don't even want to look at that. But, yeah, I think they can still have some success running the ball, even with single high, because the Jets have been very inefficient running the ball all year long. They're pretty much just gain nothing all day and then maybe have one long run, and that's about it. And even versus the Giants, Saquon had multiple long runs, and that was with Tommy DeVito at quarterback, and they were not able to do anything else successfully. This Raiders run defense is definitely susceptible. 3rd and 7, they rotate into single high again, and they're doubling. They bring down the safety to double Garrett Wilson, basically. So expect to see maybe Tyreek getting some of this treatment. You saw it on that last cover one where they had Wilson basically bracketed. You could see Tyreek getting bracketed in this game. It will create some one-on-one matchups across the board, basically just playing some cover one double type stuff. Garrett Wilson still kind of gets open here, but Zach Wilson had to escape the pocket, and with all this, he's still able to, create some big runs off script. There's definitely some things to work with off script. Don't expect the Dolphins to get too much because it's not really to his game, but just really wanted to show that they will, in these obvious passing situations, double the best receiver. Maybe they don't do it as much because the Dolphins also have Jalen Waddle, but it's definitely something in the cards that Tyreek could face throughout this game. Even Dalvin Cook came in, who's been very inefficient this season and had probably his best runs of the season, some more outside split zone, just one gap style running, picks up a nice 9-yard gain. Just look at their defense front. They are flying downhill, and this is sort of, the double-edged sword that can happen on these outside zone runs, especially if they're shooting like A-gaps. I think the Dolphins could be really successful getting to the outside. This might be the game where they can run some sweeps if they time this up correctly, but 41 shoots in that A-gap. Number 9 slants down too. They just let them go. They don't even try to block these guys. They're like, hey, you're taking yourself out of the play, and then you get just these nice runs, get vertical. So I think the Dolphins could see some success versus this defense running the ball for sure. 2nd and 3, Raiders single high. They're playing so much cover 3, but look at this DB. He's playing such hard inside leverage, and their linebackers, 41 specifically, Spillane, who will get the pick later on, he will read your eyes and go exactly where you're looking. So for me, with Tua, it could be a problem if he does, not look him off, but Tua is very good with his eye manipulation, so this could be a big play waiting to happen. I could see an interception happening if it's, timed up really well, but I also see them kind of abusing that. The ball gets tipped out the line of scrimmage, but the corner was there. Ball's out late on the slant throw anyways, and they're both there to make a play, and Garrett Wilson was getting a lot of attention in this game. I do think the Dolphins are definitely the better team, but they need to come out prepared. The Raiders have been playing well. I think this next 5-game stretch people will talk about definitely was seen as easy, and I still think it's not necessarily the hardest 5-game stretch, but I don't think it was as it's easy anymore as it looked early on, because some of these teams can be pretty competitive. Jets have an elite defense. They played them twice. Their offense is really bad. Raiders are playing better. I think the Commanders have been very competitive as well. Titans not so much, so I'm not as worried about that. But you can see their DBs get downhill, get aggressive. I think they can have a shot on some double moves or some getting vertical. If you have any slight hesitation, I think this is the backup as well, rookie from Maryland. But he sees a break and he was just firing downhill. These DBs, whether they're blitzing, they're not blitzing, they're getting aggressive in their coverage. So I could see the Dolphins definitely taking a lot of vertical shots throughout this game. Here the Raiders come out in base, and they played a decent amount of base early downs to stop the run. I think if they come out on base, you could see the Dolphins passing the ball down the field, especially depending on what kind of personnel package they come out in, especially because they're in 21 here with two fullbacks. Dolphins love to run 21, whether it's with angled or having both the running backs on the field. I think they could have some success with either look, but if they face base, I could see the Dolphins definitely coming out and throwing the ball because they still throw the ball a ton out of 21, and with just two wide receivers on the field, it's something they're very good at. But this is like they play a very much better run defense when they're out in base like this, and these this sort of front, whether it's tight eagle, some tough fronts, things like that, different variations, but they do a much better job. And also, you'll see I'll do a Raiders offensive preview tomorrow too. Big play. There's a lot of space to work with their aggressiveness. They even read this screen really good, two players, but sometimes they just get so over aggressive with their angles, it leaves a lot of open space. So like, while you see them have like some big negative plays with them shooting downhill, it also leaves them susceptible to stuff like this. If they make one guy misses a tackle, there's so much room to work with. So I think the Dolphins, with their playmakers, because Breece Hall gets loose here and he's a very explosive guy, and Dolphins have a lot more explosive guys than the Jets offense do. Like outside of Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, they don't have that. But there's definitely big plays to be had versus this defense. They do like to blitz, especially on some of these situations. They go cover 0 on a 3rd and 2 on like near the end of the game. And Tua, very good against the blitz. If it's not a bad snap, he gets his time. Garrett Wilson makes a great play. This is probably not the best decision to throw that. The ball should have been out a little bit earlier. But I do think if the Raiders do decide to blitz, that is something the Dolphins will definitely welcome. I think for the Raiders, which pretty much every defense has to do to be successful, is kind of just run cover 2 against the Dolphins for a majority of the game. It's really good against pretty much every offense this season if you look at the statistics. And the Dolphins have to find a way to run the ball to get teams out of that. Last play that we're going to break down, this was the Zach Wilson interception that sealed it. Raiders playing some quarters here, and like I was saying, this linebacker is just going to read the eyes of the quarterback. He is going to fly. They run a lot of these spot routes. Dolphins don't run a ton of these. I mean, usually if they do, it's more of just to pull a defender to it and they throw something behind it. Basically running some variation of smash with a guy out into the flat. Zach Wilson just makes a poor read. Guy reads his eyes the entire time. That's what he's going to do. Dolphins can take advantage of it. He's a solid player. But I also think, Tua could look him off with the eyes, say this guy's running over the middle like this guy sits here, his first eyes go there, and then imagine 87 was breaking towards the middle. You have all this room to work with. Dolphins will run more concepts like that, and there's definitely some matchups possibly to take with the safeties, the running quarters there. And if they do go split field, it's been a mix. I think from what I've seen, it was cover 6 quarters, cover 2 pretty evenly across the board, but you'll definitely, if they do go single high, I could see the Dolphins having a very good day passing the ball, and it's definitely something they'll want. But the Raiders defense, they're no slouches. They're still a competitive NFL team. They look way more comfortable with their new coaching staff, so they have to be ready. But I do think Dolphins are the better team. It's in Miami, which is the biggest thing. They're so good. That's why I think the offense will be fine. They're much better at home with not the procedural issues, the crowd noise to affect them. So if you guys are the video, make sure that comes around. Nothing extra, peace.